Hey you, and welcome back. You're still with us here at ZigWheels. Now let's just turn things down this power scale, just a notch. We put two 250cc competitors up against each other, the Honda CBR versus the Ninja 250R. Which one came out on top? Well, let's find out.
It's funny sometimes the quirks our road testers can get.
This is not my spot.
Look at the two of you, man, playing softball with the village kids. I mean, God, that's not what the two of you do.
It's okay to lighten up once in a while. I think judging by our outside setting,
yeah, I mean, these are not exactly the pads you wear at a cricket game,
No.
so I'm guessing that there's something that's going to be whizzing by here very soon that'll have them looking and having their eyeballs sort of out of place, more or less like a World Cup final.
Being on a set of 250cc bikes in the pleasant surroundings of Pune on a weekday is what makes these gentlemen love their job. This ride is about a verdict. If you were to choose between the CBR 250R and the Ninja 250R, which would it be? Now the lads were clearly loving every bit of their joyride, but the responsibility to answer that question was making every twist and turn one to take strong grip of. Sopan was firm on the Ninja that's actually been ruling the 250cc space for close to 2 decades. Rishabh had taken form of the new challenger with the CBR. The Ninja's more sporty and bigger body soon made it apparent that this is clearly a scaled-down sports bike and not a hopped-up street bike. 7 PS of extra power it had over the CBR gave it an instant thrust forward. The CBR comes with a throaty growl and a marginal bit of extra torque that in no way leaves it behind. Shifting through the 6 gears is smooth with no sign of the engine losing any usable power. With Sopan's thin frame neatly wrapped around the Ninja 250, he was leaning around the twisties to the bike's best. His ability to keep the revs high and play deliciously with the throttle was bringing the best out in the bike, which is usually how it goes once you bring it into its own after 5,000 RPM all the way up to the 12,500 mark and putting out an easy top speed of 160 km per hour. Rishabh on the CBR and everything we just said about the Ninja seemed to have a ready answer. A single-cylinder bike as opposed to the Ninja, the CBR 250's superb throttle response on the move makes it a point-and-squirt bike. It may not lean as low as the Ninja. This is a sports tourer and gives you a more plain ride on a seat that does not really have you thinking about readjusting your backside while you shift your weight around. With the suspension tuned for longer rides as well as regular commuting, the CBR seems the more versatile buy. Speaking of which, it's priced at 1,77,000 ex-showroom Delhi, almost a lakh cheaper than the Ninja, which stands at 2,69,000 ex-showroom Delhi. Just the right time to bring in a typical Indian off-road break.
There you go, boys. Yeah, that's how it is. Lemonade on a hot day, yeah? Especially the Ninja. Ninja looks great, yeah.
Easy for you to say you weren't riding.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. I wasn't riding, but the fact is many people are going to be riding these things very soon, hopefully. So, what's the verdict, boys? How does it go?
This is exactly the way I expected it to be. Scaled down sports bike. Just add two more cylinders to it. A nice fat fork, and this could be a 600.
Keeping in mind its touring background, I was a little wondering as to how the engine power would kind of pan out. But it's a really good bike to ride. The seat is worth 5 mentions. I think that seat is just pretty much worth half the price of the bike, because you can just ride on and on and on with that seat.
Was that actually you think these bikes will get along at some stage?
Very difficult for the two bikes to get along because they've just been built with very different purposes in mind. At least that's what I think.
Yeah.
To ride that one.
Yeah.
But you can make the differences out visually. Okay, this looks like a proper sports bike. That still looks like a street bike with a fairing on. But I don't know. Let's. You wanna switch?
So off they were for a quick test of each other's fancies. Rishabh, being the more long-distance and tourer biker of the two, was looking a tad bit crouched and stiff on the low seat and bars of the Ninja. He was attacking the corners with a great more speed though, and it did seem for a bit that he was actually in handling heaven. Sopan had a sort of easygoing vibe about him on the CBR, and one would imagine it was the bike's characteristic. He was finding it quite manageable too, thanks to its shorter wheelbase and tall stance. The bends, however, did not look as much fun with him on this one as compared to the Ninja. But at no point should we say that the different points of view had taken even an inch from Sopan and Rishabh's camaraderie. What do you know, it stood strong even when a surprise meeting along the way got them to slow down to pause for a second, and right there brought out the CBR's high point. The ABS braking system. A certified plus point. Now back in the heartland, I had some comparisons of my own ready, which I somehow felt will help aid the wording.
There you go. Let's get straight down to personal choices. I mean, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right?
If I had 3 lakh rupees, which I think I do. Okay.
I'm sure you do by now. I'm sure you do by now.
Which I don't know if I can spend on a bike or not, but either way, it would be the Ninja for me. CBR is a phenomenal machine, but what the Ninja gives is exactly what I want.
So your personal preference would be the Ninja?
Absolutely.
Well, for me, I think the bike that I sat on the first time around is definitely my choice. Suits my kind of riding. It's got a beautiful seat that you can just ride miles and miles on. It's a very sensible bike.
When you say my kind of riding, you say your kind of style, let's say that we are representing a kind of people and a kind of style. Right? So what are the people that you're looking at when you say my kind of riding?
Well, in my case, it would be someone who's looking to move up from a commuter, maybe a performance commuter for example. Someone who's not looking for a street bike, something that's a little track machine, something that has that's something that's easy to ride in the city and use as an everyday bike, and I think that's where the CBR trumps.
So, if you had 3 lakhs, that means I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who have 3 lakhs, and like you said, to spend on this. So who are the people we're looking at who can throw 3 lakhs on this? Who would you pitch it to?
To start with, there would be people who've ridden performance bikes for a while, who are almost tired of riding the small displacement performance machines that we have in India. It's also for people who want to look good, and who want something that's big, something that looks like a sport bike, something that gets them the eyeballs in traffic.
Well, definitely. So I guess to sum it all up, I know that we've been getting a lot of eyeballs on this Ganna Juice Center right here, but I can definitely say after all of this that this is going to raise eyeballs everywhere it pretty much goes, right?
Absolutely.
All said, whichever one you do decide to go for, you're now in the performance bike category. With that, you do leave the ordinary behind.
Well, the pace seems to be pretty quick over here, but time now to take a quick breather here on ZigWheels. But stay tuned because there's a lot more auto action on the other side.